Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Madmouth, and I'm actually getting ready to head out to Rick Curti's neck of the woods, the Carolinas, as I will be busy myself attending the National Sports Media Association Awards banquet and quite a national event that they hold every year at this time. But definitely looking forward to talking a lot of baseball before I hit the road. And I'm looking forward to seeing you, Rick Curti, and Charlotte on Friday. So, with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Lou Landers, and it's all yours, buddy.
All right, thank you, Scott. Lou Landers here, joined by Rick Curti, Eric Katz, and of course Scott Morganroth. Got a great show planned for you guys here today. We're going to start with MookieBetts, the rib injury. The Dodgers star suffers that injury. It's a big blow for the Dodgers. They are an elite team. We know that. But Betts has probably been one of, if not their best players all around this year. NL West, very competitive division. Got a good Padres team. Got a Giants team that's sticking around. And without Betts, the Dodgers could be in some trouble here. Remember, they traded A.J. Pollock for Craig Kimbrell. I believe it was in spring training. That really hurt the outfield depth for the Dodgers. And I guess the question here is this injury enough for the Dodgers to struggle, especially when you consider it's a rib injury? Those can take a long time to heal. They can linger, and there's often setbacks as well. So MookieBetts could be gone for an extended period of time here. And Rick, you being the resident Dodgers fan, love to hear your thoughts.
It sucks. He's their best player. I have him as my MVP of the National League. He's been great ever since coming here. He's won a World Series with them. He's been as advertised. And this injury is a nagging injury. It hurts, especially when he had to swing. So this is going to hurt the Dodgers, and they've been struggling. So this is going to hurt them. So they just got to be like the Mets, be resourceful, and just play smart baseball, and hopefully they can contain everyone else till Mookie Betts can come back.
Yeah, and they've definitely been struggling. Walker Buehler's going to be out probably till September, right? Urias not the same pitcher he was the past 2 years. You never know what's going to happen with Clayton Kershaw, when he's going to pitch, if he's going to pitch, if he's going to pitch well. The stars of that rotation these days have been Gonsolin and Anderson, two guys you weren't thinking the Dodgers would be relying on. So that's a problem to begin with. But yeah, losing Mookie is tough. And those rib injuries, man, not only can they be tough to heal and take their time, the setbacks, like I mentioned, but sometimes if you're pushing it too much, it can even lead to a different injury. A lot of times when guys play injured, they end up injuring something else because they're almost overcompensating for that current injury. So even if Betts comes back, he might not be at 100%. Eric, your thoughts on this injury? I'm sure you've seen players in the past with rib injuries. Our boy Aaron Judge dealt with a rib injury just a couple years ago, and it really hurt his season.
Oh yeah, I mean rib injuries are just such a tricky injury because they can nag, they can be like they can put you in a worse spot even if you're like, you're set to go, they could still come back and bite you. Obviously losing an all-star caliber outfielder like Mookie Betts, it just hurts the Dodgers. I mean, the guy is clearly the leader. It's clearly his team there. And he was having a fantastic year, and I think he's the leading all-star this year. And obviously losing him, I mean, the outfield depth's not the same anymore, which, it's going to probably take. Fortunately for the Dodgers, though, they have a top farm system. So we could probably see some guys come up and fill the void for a while. I mean,
they have the moolah, too.
They do. I mean, they could easily make a move for a depth piece who would probably be able to fill in for a bit. But, it's still a tough blow, though, because Mookie Betts is a once-in-a-generation kind of player.
Yeah, anyone they get's not going to produce to the level of Mookie. And the farm system is still good, but one thing the Dodgers had in the past, even before the Pollock trade, maybe 2-3 years ago, a lot of depth. They had guys like Kike Hernandez still there, Jock Peterson, a lot of extra players that they could kind of plug in when needed. And that depth no longer exists in LA. And even with all the money, even with all the stars they have, when injuries hit, that's when teams are really tested, when the adversity really kicks in. Scott, what do you make of this Dodger situation?
Well, number one, they made a minor acquisition with the Detroit Tigers, I believe, for Trace Thompson. So who wasn't
career minor leaguer.
Right, yeah. Whatever, a career minor leaguer, minor league depth, whatever. So, he never got an opportunity to progress with the Tigers. So all they did was trade him for him for cash consideration. So might he get a call up? Who knows? You never know. Again, when you make a trade like that, you do it for depth purposes, number one. Yeah, rib injuries, folks, if you're an athlete, they're painful. If you're a non-athlete, they're even more painful because we're out of shape anyways to have to deal with them. So I think the biggest Dodgers concern isn't only with themselves. What about the way the San Diego Padres are playing? I mean, Bob Melvin has got them playing well. I don't think there's a very cushy situation there. So, you hope and pray that MookieBetts is out not that long. And again, if you're going to make a minor move like that with Thompson, what do you have to lose, even though you don't expect a lot out of it? They didn't give up a player, folks. They only gave up cash, something they have a lot of, as you just pointed out.
Yeah, Thompson's definitely not going to be the answer there. And yeah, great point on the Padres playing great baseball. And we can never discount the San Francisco Giants. On paper, they don't look like a very good team up down that lineup. The rotation doesn't look amazing by any means, but they are a good team. And they find ways to win, and they're going to stick around. And if the Dodgers go through a tough 15, 20 game stretch here, they might find themselves in third place in this division, which I don't think anyone saw coming this year. Certainly not even 3 or 4 weeks ago. Rick, Eric, Scott, anything else on this?
Yeah, but Lou, we know he's not going to be the answer there. But anytime, and I've learned this over the years too, you get any kind of depth there, okay? If he's productive for 2, 3, 4 weeks or whatever the thing is, you're on house money when you make a low risk move. Obviously we know he's not a caliber player.
They would be lucky if he was productive for a game, though.
I mean, yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? Okay, that's an interesting point. You say if he's lucky for a game, but what happens, Lou? I'm going to ask all you guys this myself. What if that game makes a difference down the stretch and they win by a game? So I'm not saying it'll happen, but we all know that how many times have we seen game 163? Not that you will.
Yeah, we're talking about a guy that is 31 years old.
Right.
Is a career 205 hitter. Has never had more than 262 plate appearances in the big leagues. It was actually with the Dodgers.
Right.
He was okay in that season, though. He performed for them in 2016. He was 25 years old. Since then, done absolutely nothing at the big league level at all. So sure, I mean, anything's possible. Maybe he gets hot for a couple weeks. But this is not, a 24, 25-year-old post-hype sleeper type prospect who could maybe, catch on with the Dodgers all of a sudden. It's a 31-year-old who's basically spent his career as a minor leaguer.
Well, all I'll say is they thought enough of him. They wanted him back, and I'll let it rest at that. They wanted him back. They got him, and they didn't even have to part with a player, just a little bit of cash. All right.
Lou, before you go hitting on the move, here's the thing, though. In 1978, Jim Beatty goes 4-2 down the stretch, which ultimately makes the difference in why the Yankees came back against the Red Sox and was able to go back to the World Series in 78. So this, it could very well be the guy becomes one of those trivia answers where he does well down the stretch, but then that's about it. Right now, I think he's just a depth piece. Right now, they're going to see what he's just a fill-in. They're going to see what they have literally nothing to lose with this guy. So literally, if they get rid of him at the end of the year, it's going to cost them nothing.
Yeah, don't be surprised if they get rid of him at the end of the month. Rick, any more thoughts here?
The only trivia question for him is that he's Klay Thompson's brother. And if he wasn't Klay Thompson's brother, we wouldn't be talking about him. So he's just, like you said, Lou, a career minor leaguer. He is not going to contribute at all. Sorry. He's just not.
He's a good athlete. He could play great defensive right field. Maybe hit the odd home run. And again, I mean, if he helps them win a couple games, then I guess they'll take it, right? Yeah. Well, let's talk about something a little more exciting than Trayce Thompson. By the way, congratulations to the Warriors, to his brother Klay Thompson on another championship. But back to baseball here. Rays and Pirates promoting top prospects. We'll start with the Pirates. They promote shortstop, maybe outfielder, depends where they want to use him. He's a big dude. He's 6'8", I believe. Yes. O'Neal Cruz, a service time manipulation situation here, but now Cruz in the big leagues. He's likely here to stay. I, for one, am so against this service time manipulation situation. I know they've tried to implement some things to make it a better situation, but it's not working. These teams shouldn't be able to do this. So I'm hoping Cruz hits the ground running and kind of further proves that when a player is ready for the big leagues, they should be called up. Eric, your thoughts on this situation with O'Neill Cruz? You're excited to see the big guy play?
I am. I mean, biggest shortstop in Major League Baseball history. The guy has a gun of an arm. I think you could probably put him in the outfield if you really wanted him to. He's clearly great at shortstop, at least in an early sample size. But really, this guy you could probably place anywhere, and I think he'll produce. I mean, clearly the Pirates, Pirates have been building something in their minor league system, no matter how much we make fun of them. But they got some talent coming through there, and don't be surprised though if at least in a couple of years that they become the new San Diego Padres.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. The Pirates definitely doing it the right way. A lot of people say the Astros way or the Cubs way when those teams were both terrible, turned it around, won World Series back to back. I believe Cubs 16 and Astros 17. So perhaps that's what the Pirates are building towards. They've made some good trades. They've brought in some quality players. O'Neill Cruz could certainly be one of those guys. It'll be interesting to see how he plays. Hopefully stays in the big leagues. Before I turn it over to the rest of the dudes here, I want to mention, subscribe to the South Florida Tribune on our YouTube channel. You can visit www.southfloridatribune.com. Follow us on Twitter at Tribune South to advertise. You can call 954-304-4941, and the audio portion of our show can be heard on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts. Rick, turning it over to you. O'Neill Cruz, what do you got?
Well, he's a big, tall guy. He's strong. And, I agree. I think the Pirates have some going on with their minor league system. I think maybe in 3-4 years, they might be contending for a pennant. We'll see. They're very young. Right now, they're more of a developmental team. But this guy is going to be their future. And he's 6'8". My goodness, he's. I thought Cal Ripken was tall at 6'3". This guy's 6'8". So I'm excited to see him play. If he can play, let him play. Let's do it.
Yeah, he definitely can hit the ball hard, and he definitely can throw the ball very hard. I believe he threw like 96 or 97 miles per hour across the diamond to make an out yesterday. So 6'8" shortstop. Pretty impressive stuff there. Scott, what do you got here? O'Neill Cruz, the Pirates. Our friend Mark Mancini, actually, on our Intentional Balk podcast, made the bold proclamation that the Pirates will win a World Series before the Dodgers.
No, okay. You know what? We have Disney World and Disneyland as well. Well, Disney World.
Whatever you're having, Mark, I'll have two.
Yeah, Disney World is in Orlando, and Disneyland is where he's at, and we'll just say he's at Disneyland for that pick. But as far as I'm concerned, 6'8" to me, a shortstop means he won't have to leap for a lot of line drives. Okay, that'll be number one. Item number two, when it comes to the Pirates, they had 20 straight losing seasons in a row. So by the time these guys develop 3 or 4 years, can they afford them, or are they going to, or what? Are they going to be the AAA team for the rest of Major League Baseball? Thankfully, they never had 21 losing seasons in a row. Otherwise, the Clemente family wouldn't have been happy knowing that 21 was his number. So I am not taking the Pirates seriously. They let Clint Hurdle get out the door. They were relevant for a little bit of time, and now we're back to the drawing board with them. So, Pittsburgh's a great sports town. I've always said it's a great sports town. It's evidenced by what the Steelers are doing and the Penguins. But until I can see the Pirates have sustained success, I'm not drinking the Pittsburgh Pirate Kool-Aid. So, Mark Mancini, if you're listening to this, okay, I'm not going to create a show called Disneyland, okay, for some of these outrageous things that we see here in rumor mill about what we think, because it falls into the perception and the reality. I always pull for the Pirates. They're a great organization. They've won a few titles. They've been involved with a lot of great World Series in the past, but they have not been relevant for a long time. Back in the day, I believe when Jim Leland was there, they were relevant, okay? Beyond that, you're going a long way. So
yeah, they were relevant with McCutchen, Marte years. Just briefly.
Real relevant, okay,
Yeah.
on a consistent basis, more than just a few years. Oh, let's take a break, and the Pirates are good, okay?
Yes, I'm with you there.
Yeah, it'll take a little break. They're relevant. I'm talking about when Jim Leland was there, and before then, they were obviously one of the better
Killer bees.
Small market or no small market ownership. They got a brand new stadium. I've never been to it. I hear it's a nice place.
Beautiful place.
Right. So they got a great stadium on the water. The last time I ever saw a sporting event in Pittsburgh was at Three Rivers Stadium uh, when I saw the Lions and the Pittsburgh Steelers. But yeah, I wish them well, but they've got a lot of work to do to get me to believe that they're
They
relevant.
certainly do. O'Neal Cruz is a fun prospect to watch. So let's move things over to the Tampa Bay Rays. Lots more to talk about here. They promoted Josh Lowe. He'd already been up this season, which obviously is, good for the Rays. They traded Austin Meadows to the Tigers to let Josh Lowe play. The problem is Lowe struggled a lot, struck out a lot. And this Rays team, still without Brandon Lowe, still without Wander Franco, just lost Margot and Kiermaier to the injured list. So they're hoping, of course, Lowe can provide some much-needed offense for them. I'm not sure it's enough, even if he does improve upon the first his first MLB stint, I should say. In terms of the IL, I mentioned all the guys that they're missing. This is not the type of team that can survive all those injuries. They're a small market. They don't have a lot of money. Yes, they have a great pitching staff, and they have pitching depth. They don't have offensive depth, and they are in a very tough division, the American League East. They've fallen into fourth place, and they're falling fast. The Red Sox playing good baseball. Blue Jays playing good baseball. Yankees playing good baseball. I'm not sure the Rays have enough to stay competitive, even with Lowe and Franco coming back in this division. And it could not just affect them coming in fourth place in the division, but we're going to talk about Cleveland a little later here tonight. And with the White Sox playing better baseball, the Rays might not even find themselves in the postseason this year. Eric, what are your thoughts?
I mean, there's only a certain period of time though where, your team may have a great farm system and stuff, but man, there is only so much that can do because there's the inexperience comes in. And given that the Rays are just, currently a majority of their veterans are, they're on the IL. It's going to be rough. The American League East this year is not the kind of division where you can just fall behind and make it back up. This isn't the American League Central where I'm anticipating, eventually the Twins are going to hit a slump. And obviously Cleveland's playing some terrific baseball, but this is not the kind of division where you could slump and then get back up. The Yankees are just too good this year. Obviously the Blue Jays, they obviously have a good team this year. I mean, their pitching's taken some hits with the injuries, but still they got some bats. We know that. And, the Red Sox have been playing better as of late, but it's not the kind of division where fourth place might not be enough. The Indians are a good team, especially with Jose Ramirez, with how he's raking, who could be an MVP candidate.
Oh, he's certainly an MVP candidate. That's for sure. I mean, if Aaron Judge didn't exist, he would be the MVP candidate now.
He's like, yeah, it's not the kind of division where the Rays can fall behind from. I mean, a lot of those guys are going to be shelled for significant periods of time, and especially with Glass now in their best bullpen arm, Andrew Kittredge, him having Tommy John won't be back for next year. I think that the Rays, I just don't, by the time everyone comes back, I think it'll be too late by the time they get warm again, by the time they start, by the time they're all playing together again before everything comes in sync, it might be too late.
I think it could be too late for them. I don't want to count them out because they've been a great team in the past, but this is such a tough division. A division they have to play far too often right now, which is a whole other issue with Major League Baseball and the scheduling. Rick, your thoughts here. Right now, as it stands, I think we can all agree the Rays aren't good enough to compete in this division. But if Lowe can hit, if Brandon Lowe comes back, if Franco comes back, do they have enough to get back to the postseason for one, or two, even make this a close divisional race with the Yankees?
They have to go on a massive, massive red-hot tear. Everyone has to be getting healthy, coming back, be on their game. I don't see it. This is a tough division. No one's going to get past the Yankees. They are scorching red-hot, historically red-hot right now. And I just don't think they can do enough for the Blue Jays. Blue Jays are a great team. Red Sox are playing great. I just don't see it. Their MO all the time, now with the injuries, their MO is trading all these good players and always playing this money ball thing. And eventually it's going to catch up, especially with these injuries. So I don't see it happening. I think they'll be out of the playoffs. I just don't see them going on some massive tear if people could come back and if they can get back and play at their A game. So I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, with the sixth team being getting into the playoffs this year, there's obviously a chance 4 teams could come out of the same division. But again, Cleveland's playing well. The White Sox are improving. And although I don't think the Twins are going to maintain what they're doing, they're good enough to compete for that 6th spot. So the Rays have a lot of competition for that 1 spot. I'll turn it over to Mr. Morganroth over there, the man who lives in Florida. Miami, sure, they're a good team. Tampa, well, they've been much better than Miami, but right now it looks like Tampa might be trending downwards while Miami's trending upwards.
Yeah, there's no question the division doesn't do the Rays any justice because of what you guys have talked about. But I will say this much. There's a team that hasn't spent a lot of money and they made a lot out of nothing to begin with. And I think they have the most underrated manager in baseball in Kevin Cash. So if anybody can win or keep them competitive, it's Kevin Cash. He really knows how to press the right buttons. But, so I would never totally count him out. You just have to hope he can get some of these players perform to their capabilities and get some guys back. And again, we're talking about the wild card because there's no way they're winning that division. And I know we're going to get to the Yankees in a little while, so I don't want to go over there.
Well, I mean, we could talk about them right now. They're not really on the lineup card. Baseball term. I love you doing that here tonight. But we could certainly talk about them. I think I read something.
Well, let me complete my thoughts with the Rays though first, because there's only another thought I want to get out there.
Go for it.
That's all I'm looking to do. Again, we're talking about a team that year in and year out, you can count them out, okay? And year in and year out, they're right near the top of the division. So, they're low. They always do bring these. They remind me of the Oakland Raiders. They would take everybody else's misfits and go out there and make them work. And they have for a long period of time. But you know what? I'm going to say this one more time. The Kevin Cash factor at least gives me a puncher's chance because you're right. The farm system can only go so far. At some point, you have to have a core group. Okay, now you can go on to the game.
So I think I read something where if Tampa goes 63-33 the rest of the way, and the Yankees just play 500 baseball, the Yankees would still win the division.
Well, I mean, from what I hear, the Yankees are with their current pace, are on a pace to win 120 games.
Yeah, well, again, that's not going to happen. And I don't think the division's over by any means. I just don't see Tampa being good enough to go on that run. Toronto, maybe. Yankees obviously playing great baseball, but it's Cleveland who I really want to talk about, the team playing great baseball, the team that we should really be surprised at, too, because this is not a team that spends tons of money. And I think they deserve a lot more attention because of it. They are 1 game back of the Twins entering tonight, and the Twins had that amazing start, and still they're that close. Cleveland's won 6 straight series. They have Mr. MVP candidate, as Eric alluded to, in Jose Ramirez. They have some solid hitters in Rosario and Jimenez. Franmil Reyes could return from the injured list at some point. Biggest strength here for Cleveland, though, the pitching. And if you can pitch in the big leagues, you can win. You can compete in this league. Cleveland, not a team that spends a lot of money, like I mentioned, but they are positioned to be in the postseason this year, and they really should be looking to upgrade this offense on the trade market. They have a decent farm system. They can get guys that are rental so they don't have to put out money for the future because it's something they don't like to do. You also have to, of course, watch for the White Sox. They are playing much better as of late. These are the 2 teams I think are going to end up battling it out in this Central, not the Minnesota Twins. Cleveland, again, the pitching can take them far, but they need to make some improvements offensively. And to me, it's still the White Sox division to win. Eric, what are your thoughts here on Cleveland? You brought up Jose Ramirez. You brought up Cleveland playing good baseball. So I'm sure you have some more thoughts.
Don't forget about Josh Naylor. I don't think he gets too much appreciation.
Absolutely. Great call there. He's been fantastic this season.
Yeah, Josh Naylor, he's not going to be the guy that flashes, but he's going to be the guy that he'll just get the job done. I mean, obviously Cleveland, they are every year, they're not like Oakland where where you don't know what you're going to get out of them every year. You can't count them in, but at the same time, you can't, with the exception in some cases, you can't count them in, but at the same time, you can't count them out. But Cleveland, same deal, not quite drastic, but, having Jose Ramirez in that lineup it's just, it's huge for them. And the fact that he took less money to stay is even better. And, obviously you can't, they're managed by Terry Francona, a terrific manager, just, best in the biz. He's won 2 World Series rings. I mean, you can't go wrong there. And, they have Shane Bieber, who's a terrific pitcher, Cy Young quality pitcher. And, obviously the White Sox, once if they can get out of their own way, they'll be able to, I think they'll be able to contend. I mean, they're to everybody's surprise, they're still just below 500.
I think they're maybe 5 games out, which is nothing at this time of the year.
Yeah. And, the rule of the All-Star game is you stay 7 games out, you're still in the hunt.
Yeah, well, White Sox definitely good. Cleveland, great call with Francona. Again, great call with Naylor. Bieber, hell of a pitcher, of course. Tristan McKenzie, the youngster, having a nice season. Still looks like he's in high school, but having a great season. Quantrill, pretty good pitcher. Plesac, struggling a little bit. Savali, I believe, is actually back tonight. So interesting to see if he can turn his season around. But they have a deep rotation. They have a good manager, and they have enough offense. So definitely fan of what the Guardians are doing this year. Rick, your thoughts on this small market team kind of playing great baseball right now, surprising some people. We thought White Sox, it's been Twins, it's been Guardians. White Sox still on the outside looking in.
Yeah, everybody thought that the Guardians would be rebuilding and this is going to be a tough year. I'm surprised with them as well. Just like I'm surprised with Minnesota. So I'm surprised they're still, they're still playing good. So, but the I can't want to call them the Indians. The Guardians just keep they're doing great. There's no pressure on them. I don't think anybody expected them. We keep forgetting Terry Francona's there, who's a phenomenal manager. And right now they're just playing Guardians baseball. They're doing great, no pressure, and they're in a pretty, anyone's division right now. So not a tough division like the American League that we were talking about with the Yankees. So, I mean, it's up in the air. Anyone could grab it. I have the Guardians winning that. And I think it'll be between, White Sox and the Twins, and they'll be in contention. So I have Guardians winning that, and I think Francona should be considered manager of the year along with Aaron Boone.
Yeah, just like I said with Jose Ramirez, if Judge didn't exist, he'd be the front runner right now. I think if the Yankees' success right now didn't exist, Francona would have to be considered there. Twins and Guardians actually playing tonight. I believe they have a 3-game, 3-game set. They didn't play yesterday. So there might be a new division leader by the end of this 3-game set, or the Twins might expand their 1-game lead. Scott, over to you. You know this division well with your Tigers playing in it. Tigers obviously struggling this season. They've had a lot of injuries. But as a unbiased viewer of these other 3 teams, what do you think? Can the Twins keep it going? Are the Guardians the team to be in this division, or should we still be calling it the White Sox division?
Well, first of all, when the Tigers can only score 2.5 runs a game, that's a recipe for disaster, as you alluded to with the injury. So I'll limit it to that. I still think A.J. Hinch is a heck of a manager, and it's not his fault because of the problems. I think everything stems on Al Avila. I mentioned that last night on Fire Up Michigan, and I'll say it on this show as well. Back to your initial thought, you know what, Terry, the Guardians are playing on house money, period. And I wouldn't bet against them either. And you guys said it, we'll just make it a total majority with all 4 of us agreeing. Terry Francona has been a winner, always wherever he's gone. Philadelphia, and obviously we know what he did in Boston. And you know what? He's got a lifetime contract with the Guardians. So if I were betting for manager of the year, Terry Francona would easily get my vote. There's a little something for you guys. Many years ago when he played ball, I actually interviewed him years ago in Pompano Beach. Super nice guy, and I believe he was playing for the Montreal Expos.
Wasn't a fan of him as the Red Sox manager, of course, because I can't stand the Boston Red Sox. But absolutely fantastic there, and great with the Indians and now Guardians. So one thing I'm thinking about if you're Cleveland is you got to start looking around at some of these teams that clearly aren't going anywhere this year. It might be hard to make a deal with the Tigers or the Royals because, teams don't want to trade within the division necessarily. Seattle still thinks they might be able to contend. Oakland, what does Oakland really have that can help Cleveland? Probably nothing. Arizona might have something there. Colorado, although they just bought Bryant, might have something there. Cubs, Pirates, Reds, maybe something to offer a little bit. Nationals, maybe something to offer. Maybe the Nationals can send Josh Bell over there or Nelson Cruz over there. Cruz is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. So Cleveland needs to start looking at some offense because if they get some offense in there, and again, the rental guys are what Cleveland needs because they don't want to have any guys on the books past this year. This is a good team. They're not good enough right now on paper to beat the elite teams, in my opinion, because they just don't have enough offense. But if they get some and they get Franmil Reyes back and he becomes the power hitter that everyone expects him to be again, this is definitely an interesting team to look for. But the most
Well, bear in mind the Guardians played the Dodgers tough over the weekend too. So when you walk into LA and you play the Dodgers tough, the Dodgers, right at the top of their division, you're forced to
they've
take.
been going through a tough time of their own, though, the Dodgers.
Well, true, but you know what? Whether they go through a tough time of their own, you're talking about the Guardians taking advantage of maybe the Dodgers' difficulties. But nevertheless, you know what? When people look at the box score, they're only when you want to determine who wins the series, Lou. They're not looking at the tough time. They're going to say that this team won 2 out of 3, and that's it, and the road show continues. But you're right, the Dodgers are struggling, but that coincides with the fact that the Guardians are playing well because they're good enough to take advantage of a team that is struggling right now on the road in their yard.
They're definitely playing well. Definitely playing well, and they got great pitching, as I mentioned. To tonight's main topic, though, the big one here, expansion. MLB expansion, we're at 30. The NFL has 32 teams. The NHL has 32 teams now. NBA, whatever. But 2 of the 4 major sports have 32 teams now. Could it work in Major League Baseball? And I think personally, it would be great for the game. You can change it from 6 current divisions to 4 divisions with 8 teams in each. I think it would help balance out the schedule. It would make tons of sense with the new playoff format. We now have 2 teams getting a bye, so you can have division winners in each league getting a bye. The rest of the league can fight it out for what would become 4 wild card spots instead of 3. And furthermore, the biggest thing for expansion, more teams would mean more MLB players. You get these minor leaguers more of an opportunity to play, making big league contracts, seeing more kids make the show. I think that's the best part of the whole situation. But the way that baseball is trending right now with the playoff formats, 4 divisions, 8 teams each, 32 teams, maybe shift teams from league to league, division to division, make it geographical still, of course. I think it works for everybody, really. And Rick, I'll start with you.
Well, we need expansion. I've been trying to get an MLB team in Charlotte. I've been promoting it for the last 8 years. It's something that Charlotte needs a team. I believe it'll be Charlotte and Nashville. It's 31 and 32. I think Oakland's going to move to Las Vegas. Tampa Bay, it's up in the air. I have no idea whether they're going to stay. It can't be in St. Petersburg. They have to build a stadium in Tampa Bay. Or maybe, if the Expos do get a new stadium, they can move there. I don't know. But I do see it to be Charlotte and Nashville. They need more MLB teams in the South. They got everywhere else. Why Atlanta's the only pure Southern team in MLB still is my guess. I have no idea. But if they can get the Charlotte, you can get Nashville, you get Atlanta right there, 3 hot spots in the South right now, growing like crazy. Great fan bases, and you can make like a Southern division. You can move like the Tampa Bay Rays or maybe the Texas Rangers there. Right now, boom, you have a new division, and you see what Major League Baseball is doing by playing games. They want to play games in Mexico and Paris, all London again. The Yankees want to be in London and all that in Paris. So it's eventually going to happen. I see it happening maybe in the next 5 years or so. They just have to build stadiums. That's all it is. Nashville needs a stadium. Charlotte needs a stadium. Montreal, all of them need stadiums. And I keep hearing the Nationals the leader, and probably so. I know they want to build a stadium for the Titans, and my question would be, with that stadium for the new Titans, would it be a dual stadium for baseball and football, which I think they should be if they're serious about getting a team
Could
in Nashville?
they knock down the current Titan Stadium and use that land for a baseball stadium too, potentially?
Yeah, I mean, that would be something interesting as well. So I know Dave Stewart's the leader in that. He wants to see it happen. So it's going to be interesting, but expansion will happen. It's inevitable. They want to grow the game, and you got so many markets out there, like a Charlotte, like a Nashville, Las Vegas.
We've
of
seen
course,
pro
the hot
sports
spot.
work in Vegas now, right? We've seen the hockey expansion
Yeah.
there. We've seen the Raiders move there, so it's working there as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Oakland's probably going there, but let's say Oakland doesn't go there. Las Vegas, certainly another team. I've heard Portland as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
as-
but I
as
don't
a
see that
potential.
happening. I think the Mariners will. It's too close to Seattle, and then you got and Vancouver's on that list, and they're not going to get it. I don't see Portland. 'Cause I think Seattle will do what they can to kind of put a kibosh to that, in my opinion. So
Now, it didn't work for the Orioles, though, with the Washington Nationals, so you never know.
yeah,
But good points there for sure. Scott, what are your thoughts on 32 teams expansion, pros and cons to it? Do you like the way the playoff format would kind of work with that new setup, and what do you got on it?
Yeah, I do foresee a realignment that could see certain teams go from the American League to the National League for balance. That's inevitable. Rob Manfred has made all kinds of changes anyways to the game, where he's been talking about it for a long time anyhow. He's waiting for these three situations, Tampa, Oakland, to get resolved, and which brings in Las Vegas. So, and I had the opportunity to see a AAA game last summer in Nashville, the Nashville Sounds over at their ballpark. What a beautiful stadium that is too. And let's face reality, they're supporting the National Hockey League, and they have the Titans now. A multi-purpose stadium, Rick. God, I don't know. I would struggle with that. I mean, but you never know. It depends on the cost situation to build two stadiums in a complex next to each other. I'm not sure about that. I think the days of multi-purpose stadiums are over, but let me break down the sites. Okay. Oakland has until 2024, and Manfred's not letting them play there a day longer than that. So, and it takes about 2 or 3 years to build a stadium. Oakland needs to get this thing figured out by June 30th. Item number one, if I were a betting man and they lay an egg on the 30th, they might as well just go somewhere else. But
9 days from now.
Right.
Good luck.
And there you go. 9 days for something that's been going on for 20 years. Okay. Let's see if there's a last minute to keep them there. So Oakland, I think, is headed to Vegas. Nashville, Charlotte, no doubt in my mind. I think the problem that you have in Montreal is not only do they not have a stadium, but the problem that you had with the COVID-19 and the Toronto Blue Jays being displaced for the better part of a year and a half or so, they didn't score any points with Major League Baseball. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Nationals and the Orioles situation is a territorial issue. Let's face it, the Orioles have been bad for a lot of years, okay? You talk about an organization like the Pirates that's been bad, the Orioles have been horrible too. The Nationals are the new team in town, and they have a World Series to show for it. Of course, now they're rebuilding. We don't know how that'll play out. So
I'd rather be an Orioles fan than a Nationals fan as it stands right now.
well, all right, we disagree, but that's okay. I have
The
no
Nationals
problem.
are in a lot of trouble with that roster.
They
the
are
Orioles
now.
are building.
But I'll tell you what, the Orioles have been irrelevant for a long time. That's all I'll say about that.
World Series contenders, no, but playoffs, they've been in the playoffs a number of times over the last 10 years.
They went to the AL. It wasn't that long ago they appeared in the ALCS.
Yeah, the last 10 years they've actually been in the playoffs a lot. Back in the Adam Jones days, they had some solid ball clubs then.
And they last went to the wild card game, which they lost, but still they made the playoffs back last in 2016. So it really hasn't been that long.
Well, whatever.
They're also in a really tough division, but so is Washington.
Yeah.
Either way, I get what you're saying. Nationals being the team that's won a World Series.
Well, they have won a
recently.
Yeah. But here's getting back to your point though, okay? why I don't want to be the Orioles. You guys have been saying it all show. Now I'm just going to feed off of it. Okay. To me, the Orioles are in a division with a bunch of great white sharks. Okay. We all know Toronto's been good for a while. They have the deep pockets to do it. We know what the Yankees are about. The Red Sox, and of course, the Rays have managed to do pretty well. So you can say what you want about the Orioles getting to the playoffs in recent years, but nobody's going to sit here and tell me that those other four teams above them, it's a much difficult challenge to get into playoffs where the Orioles stand than it is with the
It
Nationals.
might not be if they realign the divisions.
All right, but
If they move them to like another division, the Orioles.
Honestly, I know you guys are going to think I'm crazy. If you stuck the Orioles, if you swap the Orioles and Tigers right now, I honestly think the Orioles could be leading the AL Central. They are a very underrated team in a very tough division. They've actually been quite good this year. I think they're like 31 and 36 playing in the AL East. You put them in the AL Central, you can reverse that. They're 36 and 31 and contending for a division.
Well, the one thing that we can't fail to leave out here is everybody wants MLB expansion, but don't you think the owners want those expansion fees either? Who knows what it's going to take just to get a team? What owner is going to have to pay?
$2 billion.
What is it?
It's like $2 billion.
$2 million? Is that the
$2
going
billion.
rate?
Billion.
$2 million. I mean, Jose Ramirez could buy like 40 teams.
Yeah, that's true. $2 billion. Okay, just kidding with you. I'm
pretty sure George Steinbrenner bought the Yankees for like 7 or like 11 billion or something in the 70s, though.
Yeah, nothing.
And now they're worth like $4.5 billion. It's
I
a pretty good return on your investment.
I was kidding around with the 2 million figure. We all know I was chastising some of these lower teams' payroll, and you guys thankfully picked up on it. Yeah, $2 million cut up 32 ways, $4 billion. Okay, yeah, that's a good reason.
Max Scherzer could pay the entire Orioles salary cap this year.
Hey, listen, LeBron James became a $1 billion player now, so he wants to think he can buy a team or own a team. Yeah,
I mean,
all right, we'll see.
Give the Orioles credit though. They're actually decently competitive with who they have. I mean, right now they're just kind of honing and developing, and then they're gonna hopefully, if they play this smart, they'll get ready to spend money. Like, for example, unlike the Marlins, who they developed some nice arms, they got some nice pitching, got some young guys, but when it came to time to spend some money, they're just not gonna do it. I know Jeter, before he left, badly wanted Nick Castellanos, and Bruce Sherman wouldn't spend the money.
Yeah, well,
instead they got Avisail Garcia, who is having the worst season of his career.
Yeah, we can
hit the home run, or he doesn't. I remember him in Milwaukee.
We can talk about the Marlins spending ways all day long, but do you guys really want to lose your voice on the air trying to go over the history of that franchise?
No, but you know what? At least they've won 2.
They won 2 World Series.
You know what? That's true. Yeah, they have won 2 World Series.
25 years. In the last 25 years, they've won twice. There's maybe 8 teams or 9 teams that have done that?
Right. No, you're
since
right.
97. No. Since 97, I'm going to hand it over to Eric to get his thoughts on expansion. And since 97, I'm going to actually do it in my head and find out how many teams have won multiple since then.
Great points, Lou.
Actually, you only probably find one though. You'll only find one who's won multiple since then in recent years. Which I believe is the St. Louis Cardinals.
Boston, San Fran.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about San Fran.
New York, or the Yankees, obviously. I think the Cardinals.
And maybe I thought you were talking recent years.
No, since 97.
Oh, since 97. Oh, the Yankees are definitely in there. The
Cardinals. Yeah, Red Sox, Yankees, Cardinals.
I think it's about it.
Giants. Yeah.
Yeah, the Giants.
They're like 5. I can count 5 right now.
But here's the thing, though, with expansion. I wrote about this for about the viability of Nashville. Number one, Nashville is very supportive of a non-traditional sport in the National Hockey League. They love the Preds. Their minor league baseball led all of minor league baseball, not just AAA. Minor league baseball as a whole, single A, double A, triple A, and obviously, Rick, your independent leagues. They love baseball. The University of Tennessee, very, very good this year. Vanderbilt's always a college World Series contender, and they've had a lot of people come out of that school go on to play professional baseball. David Price, just to name one. But Nashville is perfect for the sport. It's a good middle point. It's an untapped market. Obviously the Braves are gonna go crowd wolf, but here's the thing: they are right in between St. Louis, They got several cities right in between each other, where the other places can't truly claim it. So literally, you have a new generation of fans. I mean, are those other fans who root for the Braves, the Cubs, or the Rangers or whatever still going to like those teams? Yeah, but that's like any city. But the fact that they have an untapped market there, they just need the stadium to go with it. Once they get the stadium, I can guarantee you Rob Manfred's going to award them that franchise.
Let me tell you, I told you I was at that stadium last year, First Horizon Park, where it's located. That's a beautiful stadium that they have built there. They really is.
I mean, as far as multi-purpose stadiums goes, I don't see it happening. I think the days of that are done. I think that it's just, right now football and baseball, they really just don't want to do it anymore. It was a pain back then, and especially for grounds crews, but I just can't see it happening unless you're like a hockey team or a basketball team that's been doing it for a long time. It's very easy to do. But, I just can't see them doing a multi-purpose deal. I mean, once the Titans get their new stadium, wherever that might be, could I see them building on the same site? Yes, because a stadium's already been there.
Right.
And Nissan Stadium is right downtown. And, obviously Nashville has been doing well with the Sounds for a very number of years. And they really got serious about expansion the first time around in 93. But unfortunately, they were unable to get it, which, Major League Baseball made the mistake of burning a team in Miami. But, the fact of the matter is, it could work. It will definitely work. The question is, you got to get a stadium. Until any place in the world, Las Vegas, Charlotte, Nashville, Vancouver, until you burn up a stadium, wherever that might be, don't talk to me about your team. Show me the stadium.
So let me ask you guys a question. Have any of you guys been to Nashville?
Yes.
I have, yeah.
I have.
It's beautiful.
Well,
It's
Terrific. Lovely.
Yeah.
It's very similar to Charlotte, too. Same growth, same lot of transplants.
Yeah.
A lot of
both those places could support
And there's
team.
and
I
there's
think it
no
comes down to
baseball.
what Eric has to say about you need the stadium or else you're not going to do it. It's not going to happen.
I mean, you could tell me you'll support the team, but my biggest question is, are you, where's the stadium? You're telling me you're going to support a team. You got to show me a stadium. Like, for example, those fools who live in Montreal. Show me a stadium. Don't temporarily put me in that concrete prison that is Olympic Stadium. At this point, it's like playing baseball in jail at that stadium with the amount of things that fall on the field.
The mausoleum in there.
Yeah.
You could tell me about you can tell me about that stupid orange blob in Yuppie, and you can tell me about everything about Montreal. Oh, bro, we love our team. We'll sell out the exhibition. Don't flash me Olympic Stadium. Major League Baseball almost got rid of your franchise because your stadium was in such bad shape.
Well, some of their games ended up going to Puerto Rico, if I understand correctly, for a while, and it was a disaster. But Mr. Concrete Dump, there's no doubt that, but I really think if you really talk about expansion, the National Hockey League, when Seattle made a decision to go out there and redo another one, they needed another team. How quickly did they award them a franchise anyhow once the Key Arena got fixed up? And I've been in that stadium when it was the old Seattle Coliseum, great location next to Space Needle. So, as I said, I know Nashville can support. I know Charlotte can. I don't see if Tampa were to make it to Montreal, it would be good because you had the Montreal-Toronto rivalry if they're placed in the right division.
They would have to be placed in the right division, I would say.
Right.
It wouldn't be smart anymore. And honestly, the Yankees and Mets in the same division wouldn't be a bad idea either. You can start putting 8 teams in the same division. I don't think it would be too bad of an idea. Before I turn it back over to Scott, and before I turn it over to Eric and Rick to say a few words, I, of course, want to just remind everybody they can subscribe to the South Florida Tribune on our YouTube channel. They can visit www.southfloridatribune.com SouthFloridaTribune.com. Follow us on Twitter at Tribune South. And to advertise, you can call 954-304-4941. You can catch the audio portion of all our shows, especially this one, of course. Go Show, yay. It can be heard on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Lou Landers. You can find me on Twitter at Landers Talks. Check out all my MLB content at drroto.com. Hear me on Sirius XM Sunday mornings and Sports Byline USA on Fridays. Eric, turning it over to you. Say some final thoughts on the show and let everyone know where they can find your work.
My message, I want Nashville to happen. I really do. I am rooting for it to happen. But until you show me a stadium, until you show me that, you will build a stadium for your team and it's a good stadium. It's not, and it's located where people will actually go to it. I don't want to hear another word about how you'll support this team. If you say you're going to support the team, you would have built a stadium.
And where everyone can find your work.
Oh yeah. If you can find me on Twitter at Sports Team News, or you can find me on bellyupsports.com where I cover Wisconsin Badgers football.
Awesome stuff. Rick, final thoughts and where everyone can find you.
Well, I want to finish with the expansion. You need Nashville and Charlotte make the most sense. There's no MLB team in South Carolina. There's no MLB in Virginia. There's no MLB in Alabama. There's no MLB in Mississippi. Open markets. And the Braves are the only lone wolf in the South. We need to have some more wolves in the South and make baseball everywhere instead of the Midwest and the West Coast. And so that's my final thoughts on that. And where you can find me is on my website at www.charlottebats.com. Or coincidentally enough, I'm trying to bring MLB to Charlotte. You can go on there and sign our petition. I'm also on Facebook at MLB Charlotte, where I'm also on there as Charlotte Bats Baseball. I'm on Twitter as Charlotte Bats Baseball. I'm on Instagram as Charlotte Bats. And I'm also on Instagram. I'm also
LinkedIn.
on LinkedIn as well under Rick Curti, Curti. And our email address is cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. If you have any comments or questions, and go ahead and sign our petition.
All right. Well, again, Rick Curti, Eric Katz, Lou Landers, turning it over to the man, the myth, the legend, the Motor City Madmouth, Scott Morganroth.
Lou, you do an unbelievable job hosting this show. And I just enjoy sitting back, working with you guys, watching you guys go back and forth. So for me, what can I say? You do an unbelievable job. Eric, meanwhile, you forgot to mention that you are a co-host on Fire Up Wisconsin. We launched our first episode. Went very well. He is a co-host with Candy Ebling on that as well. So these two do a good job. Lou, you did such a good job with my contact information. Do I really need to do it again? Probably not. So I'll just defer to the website, www.southfloridatribune.com. You can find it all. And the Twitter is at Tribune South. And yeah, please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. You guys just make an incredible group. The only thing I can tell you really is the New York Yankees are on a roll. And I think it would be
Not
good.
tonight. Tampa's winning 5-2. It's
No,
over.
we're getting
Season's over.
Says Yankees Twitter.
Yeah, well, you know what? Tampa, there you go. Okay, everybody's counting the Rays out, and I know they're beating the Yankees tonight 5-2. But I'll tell you one thing: you don't want to take Tampa out of the Yankees division for one other reason, that their best crowds come when the Yankees are there, and leave little doubt that the Yankees train in Tampa itself. And yeah, Rick. There's no doubt that the Rays have to build their stadium in Hillsborough County. Being a guy who, by the way, graduated from the University of South Florida, who does happen to have Tampa ties, I know it better than anybody anyway. So
Biggest mistake is put in St. Petersburg. That was the biggest mistake.
Yeah, we knew it was a joke. You guys realize the story behind it years ago. Tampa had a proposed site lined up next to Tampa Stadium. They want to argue back and forth, and St. Petersburg built it. They said they can go there. And now in 2027, their final year there, they'll wind up at Tampa if they're in the area. They're not going to Orlando. But I agree. I mean, you guys touch on a lot of points. When you guys nail every bullseye on the planet during a baseball show, I don't really have to reiterate what you guys did. You're the brainstorm. I can just go over my own experience about things that baseball does need to be in the South. in those two respective markets. I think I'm very curious to see how the Las Vegas situation plays out. And when we do this again, we might revisit the subject in about 2 weeks after that vote. I should point out, coming up on our next edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, we have a Mount Rushmore for a pitcher. So please join us for that show. We put a lot of time into that, and we're putting a lot of time into making it a very show that you can certainly voice your opinion on as well. So, but meanwhile, I got the greatest crew on the planet, and if I'm biased, I apologize for nothing. Lou, you're the greatest. Eric, what can I say? Rick, I couldn't think of 3 better co-hosts than to do this with you guys. You guys are just, as Dick Vitale would say, awesome, baby. I'll just have yelled all night, by the way. Don't have to. But meanwhile, Rick, I see you later in the weekend. National Sports Media Association is what I got lined up over the weekend. I don't know what you guys have excited to go on, but I tell you what, I look forward to doing this show. And as I reiterated, folks, I can't think of 3 better teammates than these guys. They are the best. I'm proud of every one of them. And, to me, they're just tremendous guys to work with. So, we touch on some subjects. It's okay that we agree to disagree on some. But in the end, you know what? I think that's what makes it really stimulating and enjoyable, is we can all come up with our own philosophies, and nobody has to feel bad or feel, how do I want to say it? They don't have to feel like their toes are being stepped on. Everybody gets a fair opportunity to say what's on their mind. And, we're all experts in our own way. Take out of it what you want to take out of it. So on behalf of Lou Landers, Eric Katz, Mr. Concrete Dump, a.k.a. Olympic Stadium, and Mr. Rick Curti, a.k.a. Mr. Opinion. Okay. My name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. Until the next time, take care, everybody. God bless and be well. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.